First weekend of the Six Nations didn't disappoint. There was the one-sided game that we thought it would be, the France versus Wales, but the other two were actually wonderful contests for a couple of different reasons. Starting off with the France-Wales game, the only thing that was weird from the game is that afterwards, Warren Gatland said there were quite a few positives that actually came from that Welsh performance. I struggled to see that, but I'm glad that he's optimistic. Hopefully, there's something that he can do to turn this around. I'm not sure when it will happen, but hopefully there is something that he saw that I didn't. The first game that I really enjoyed was the Scotland Italy game, and that was for a couple of different reasons. And it's not just the Hugh Jones hat trick. That was beautiful to see, and all of it came from really good play from the Scottish team. I did, however, love the tenacity of the Italians in defence. The way that they defended throughout the game was exceptionally impressive. They kept putting the Scottish backline on the back foot and didn't allow them the room to run. And that is something that is going to really help them against some of the teams that are traditionally a lot stronger than them. The problem, however, with the Italy side was they stayed in it once again, as I thought it would, up to the 60th minute. And from the 60th minute, things started falling apart, sadly, which is very disappointing because you could see a lot of the quality from this team in many parts of those first 60 odd minutes. The Ireland England game was a far more interesting one, and I was happy about a lot of the things that England did and a lot of the things that Ireland did, but for various different reasons. But there were a few gaps still on both sides. So first off, England started like a house on fire. They were amazing for the first half an hour, 35 minutes odd. They defended really well. They stopped Ireland from getting onto the board literally up until the 35th minute. And that is something that is pretty impressive to do. The Ireland team in that first half was still a little disjointed. They weren't as clinical as they were in previous years. This is also something that they struggled with in the November autumn series. As the game progressed, though, Ireland really grew in confidence and they evolved in many ways back to the top form that they had in last year's Six Nations. And that was the big positive to see. That type of Ireland, I know every single Ireland fan, every single person watching that from a neutral point of view would have loved to have seen, because that type of rugby is exceptionally impressive. When you're in a rugby game, there are very few times where you can stick to a plan as well as you would hope. And what was really special to see over the past couple of years was how Ireland could really dominate so many facets of the game with precision play. And it started coming back in that second half. It wasn't perfect, but it started getting there and it got a lot better as the game wore on. But the thing that was really good about their overall performance is if you have a look at them only putting their first points on the board just before halftime and going into the break 10-5 behind, from there, they really switched on for the second half. Gibson Park was amazing in a million different ways once again. And he was really the catalyst for a lot of what happened in that Irish team. The score was actually a lot more flattering for England at 27-22 at the end of it. But if you really look at it, the game was done by the 70th minute, because then it was 27-10 already. And that was all down to some very, very impressive Irish play and them literally choking the life out of England on defense. Part of their defense that I wasn't happy with, though, in the first half, which cost them the try as well, is they should not go to that kind of negative style of play where they hold on to players and things like that. That's not the way that they play, and that's not the way that we like to see Ireland playing as well. That is never going to be part of their style. I hope it's not something that they think they should start to incorporate. That is going to detract from a lot of the beautiful play that they have across the park and so many other facets. But we have to talk about that Bundee Aki try. That was actually a massive catalyst for them at the start of the second half to really get things going. The last time I saw a New Zealander run over an English player like that gave me flashbacks of the 95 World Cup when Loma did it to my cat. So, sorry, Marcus Smith, you were part of the poster there. And Bundee Aki getting past and over and through three defenders to go and score where there's no room, that was exceptional. This upcoming weekend is going to be an interesting game in terms of deciding how things actually start shifting with our rankings, because there's nothing that actually changed the rankings that we started off with. Ireland is still at the top. France wasn't really up against great opposition, so they still occupy the second spot. The third spot is still Scotland. Scotland was good enough to get past an Italy side that was fairly impressive. England didn't play too badly, but they couldn't last the whole 80 minutes, so let's keep them in fourth. Italy, they lost, same as England, so there was no reason to give them a lot of credit for that. It wasn't a win. They needed to improve on that. And Wales, they're making sure that everybody else feels a little better about themselves. The weekend's games are going to be interesting, though, for a couple of different reasons. So the Italy versus Wales game should show if there was actually something that Gatland saw that was useful from the Wales side, and if they can turn things around against this very spirited Italian side. The problem is they're playing in Italy, and Italy was very impressive against Scotland. So I do believe it's going to be an Italy win, and sadly, I do think it's probably going to be around the 20-point mark as well. The England versus France game is going to be one where it's going to be interesting to see if France was actually as good as they did look against the underpowered Welsh side, and if England were actually really starting to evolve and grow as a team with the performance that they put up for the majority of the game against Ireland. They are playing at Twickenham, but I still believe it will be a France win. Probably not going to be a runaway win, though, for France. I think England's going to stay in there for 60, 70 minutes again, and it's probably going to be a 10-pointer, maybe 15 points in favour of France. If England pull off a shock win here, that'll be one for the books, and it's really going to give a lot of confidence to that England squad. That is also going to shake up that ranking quite dramatically, but I don't think that is going to be something to worry about. The real mouth-watering prospect, though, for the weekend is the Scotland versus Ireland game. The way Scotland has been playing, if they are given a little bit of room, is so exceptionally unpredictable that it can just dismantle a very organised team like Ireland. And that is going to be something that we would really want to see, because Scotland has been trying for a couple of years now to really show that they have evolved into a real power in the Northern Hemisphere. And I do believe they're one of the most creative teams around, regardless of where you look at teams in the world. I hope that this is one that really runs close, just for the entertainment factor of it all. I wouldn't be too upset if Scotland wins this. I wouldn't be surprised if Ireland wins this. I actually do believe it's going to be an Ireland win, but it's going to be a very narrow Ireland win. If Scotland can pull off this win, that's going to be a bit of a shock to all involved. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this one actually pans out. This is the cool thing about the weekend. We've got two of these matchups once again that are going to be very, very interesting based on what we saw on the first weekend. And I look forward to really seeing those last two games especially. I want to see Italy win the first game. And then after that, the England-France game, there might be a little bit of a shocker coming, but it should actually just be France. And then the Scotland-Ireland one, that can go either way, but it should go Ireland's way. If Ireland can stay as organised as they've been, they will slowly but surely work towards a victory there. If Scotland can get enough room to actually work their magic, it'll go the other way. So let's see how it goes.